My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. Today's video is one of my 12 cast on vlogs, or at least what will eventually become one of my 12 cast on vlogs. If you are new to the channel and you are unaware what I am talking about when I say 12 cast ons, at the end of each year going into the beginning of the next year, I spend 12 consecutive days casting on 12 new projects to set myself up for my year of making. And well, sometimes these projects take more than a year. But for the 2021 round, so last year's round, I decided it would be fun to make a series of vlogs charting the progress of my projects. Now we are in the middle of September and I've only finished 2 of my 12 cast-ons from 2021, so I'm hoping for the rest of the year to have a bit of a push to get some of these projects off the needles. And I popped up on my channel my making plans video for September, and I asked the YouTube community to help me choose one of the projects to work on this month, and it was a vote between a pair of mitts and a cowl, and the mitts won out. So I'm here to start the mitts vlog. The pattern is the Varia Mitts, and I can't remember who the pattern is by. It's Erica M. Hauser, or Heuser, H-E-U-S-S-E-R, and I'll pop a picture of the mitts on the screen right now. It's a beautiful colourwork pattern with a lovely barn owl on. And I cast this on day 8 of the 12 cast on adventure last year, and this is as far as I got on the first day. So I basically just started the colourwork cuff of the mitts. So I am using 2 yarns, so my main sort of yarns are these 2, which were a set 250-gram skeins from YarnNYarns, who sadly doesn't seem to be dyeing at the moment, which is a real shame because Helen was one of my absolute favourite dyers. But yeah, I purchased these as a set, and they were designed as a set for mittens or colourwork socks. And then my contrast colour, I'm using a mini skein of Colourful Creativity yarn in this really lovely bright sort of bubblegummy blue, and this was from one of Caroline's mini sets. I can't remember which one, I'm afraid, but yeah, those are the yarns that I'm using. Should I say the YarnNYarns base is 100% superwash blue face Leicester. So yeah, the Varia Mitts won the votes. It was close call for a little while, but then the mitts pulled ahead, and I think there was 10 or 15 more votes for the mitts in the end. Got my pattern here, I've got my chart and everything. I'm not going to obviously share any of the secret sauce. I believe this is a paid for pattern if I remember rightly, and I just need to figure out where I am and get myself going. My plan is to try and add a couple of rows each day to these mitts for at least the next week or so. I'm still working on another one of my 12 cast on projects, which is the Love Your Stash shawl, which is hanging out here as well, and that is the main focus. I'm really close to possibly being able to finish that this month, although the rows are getting longer and longer. The bulk of my knitting time is being sort of portioned out between the Love Your Stash shawl and a test knit sweater that I'm doing, but I do want to start making some progress on this, just so we don't get to the end of the month and I have completely ignored them. So yeah, my aim is to try and add a row or 2 a day. So for now I'm going to figure out where I am in the pattern, and then I might come back to you and let you know how many rows I aim to try and finish before my day is out. So yeah, we'll see what happens. That was fairly straightforward. I am usually pretty good when I'm working on these projects. I print out my patterns and I keep them in my project bag, because I know there can be quite a big break between me working on the projects each time I pick them up. I do tend to try and leave myself really good notes if I can, and on this occasion I have figured out I'm working on the left hand mitt, and I am 10 rows through the cuff colourwork. It's called the border chart in the pattern, and there are 19 rows of this chart altogether. So I am thinking I'm going to aim to get the rest of this chart finished today, because 9 rows on a 64, 60-ish stitch, I'm not sure how many stitches exactly. It's a small circumference. I reckon 9 rows is imminently doable for today. So let's get cracking. I've finished the first chart, and I knew I shouldn't have picked this up because why is colour work so addictive? I just want to keep going, and I think I will do for another couple of rows because I've just read on in the chart a little bit, and it looks like there are slightly fewer stitches on the palm of the hand than on the back of the hand. So I think I'm going to knit the first couple of rows off the main chart. So I finished that bottom chart. I'm trying to get the yarn out of the way, and so yeah, I finished the bottom chart, so no more blue, which is a little bit sad because I love how that blue and brown play together. I think I'm going to knit the first couple of rows of the main chart just to get it established and also to rearrange my stitches so I know where I am. There are a couple of bits on this chart where there are long stretches of stitches, only a couple of rows though. I was contemplating possibly looking into the ladder back jacquard technique, where you add extra stitches so that your floats don't show through, because I think sometimes when you have high contrast yarns, which I'm going to be having, I've got obviously a darker yarn and a lighter yarn, sometimes when you catch your floats they sort of show through, but I think because it's only long sections of stitches for a couple of rows, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to live with the fact that there might be a few showing through bits where I catch my floats, but yeah, so addictive, so addictive. My tension has obviously changed a little bit. I don't know how well you can see that. It's a little bit looser. This is where I picked up today, and the stitches are sucking in a little bit, but I'm not too bothered about that because I think that will block out. I've got a couple of loose stitches this side which were from my first day. They were past where I picked up today, so again I might hope that they will block out. I'm not too worried about that little tension change, and the fabric is still really stretchy even though my tension's a little bit tighter. There's no sort of potential for it not to fit or anything like that, so really happy with how this is looking. So a couple more rows and then that's going to be it for today, because I have other things that I need to work on and I just wanted to get this started, and yeah, the danger is I'm not going to want to put it down, so I'm going to have to be quite strict with myself. So friends, I may have unintentionally fibbed to you earlier because I didn't put my mitts away, couldn't help it, carried on. And I've done the first 10 rows of the main colourwork chart. Sorry, I'm sat in a really awkward position where there's a shadow right in front of my face. So this is what the palm pattern looks like, which is turning out super cute, and this is the bottom of the main chart. And this last row that I've just finished, I don't think you're going to easily be able to see. Well, it's not the last row, it's the last row but one. Here is the bottom of the owl's tail feathers. So I've been working mostly on the tree, but the owl is just about to start emerging, and I really am putting this away now. It's been a few days since I have checked in for this mittens or mitts vlog, and it's been one of those weeks. I've had a low-level headache for about a week, and it culminated yesterday in a migraine, which meant that I spent the majority of the day yesterday in bed. It was one of those where I just felt really sick, and anytime I moved it hurt. Honestly, I seem to be getting those slightly more frequently these days, and I think it's hormonal. Anyway, we're not here to waffle about that, and oh no, I've just pulled all of my stitches off my needle trying to get this project out of the bag. That just shows how my week's gone. I'm still slightly fuzzy-headed, so yes, I shall deal with that another day. Don't think I've got the wherewithal to do it today, but I'm going to hold this now very carefully to show you that the mitten has moved on since I shared this with you, and I'm at the point now, I think I'm just short of halfway up the colourwork chart, and I can't show you this very well now, the stitches are all over the place, but I'm at the point now where I'm about to increase for the thumb, which is why I thought it might be fun to check in for this vlog, and now I'm regretting it because if I didn't do it right now, these stitches would still be on the needle. So yeah, there we go. I'm going to gingerly put that back into the project bag and place that gently down somewhere and leave it be for another day or so till my head clears properly and I can pick those stitches back up again. I'm back outside again. Are we surprised? No. It's very grey up there. It looks like it might rain any minute, but it's not raining, so I'm out here. Any excuse to be outside. You might have just seen my concentration face because I was picking up the stitches after that disaster the other day when I had no business touching any of my projects. But you'll be pleased to know I have rescued my stitches, and I thought I'd just quickly check in because I've started the first couple of increase rounds where the thumb goes, and yeah, the owl is definitely coming into being now, and this seems to be fitting really quite nicely. This is going to be the left hand mitt, round about there. I still haven't finished my Love Your Stash shawl, which is the project that I'm really meant to be working on. It's a Saturday today, and tomorrow is kind of the first day where I thought I might officially start working on this. So I have made some really good progress, given that I was going to wait until the last week proper to start working on this. So I'm going to knit a couple more rows, and then I'm going to put it away, and then I'm going to push on and see if I can finish my Love Your Stash. So that will mean, if I can, that this will be a project that I can really concentrate on over the next week. It's an absolutely beautiful day at the beginning-ish of October. It's the 9th of October, Sunday, as I'm recording this, and I've lost track a little bit of when I last checked in for this vlog with my Varia Mitts. It's been a strange couple of weeks. I've been super tired getting used to my new job out of the house, which I know I've probably rambled on quite a lot or mentioned quite a lot in various vlogs, but you know, it's a big change going on here. So there's been quite a few days where I haven't really done any knitting. I've done a little bit of spinning most days, but yeah, some days where I haven't done any knitting. So I've kind of lost track a little bit. I needed to refresh my memory, do some video editing so I know where I am with each of the vlogs that I'm recording at the moment. But as we're chatting, I'm sat here knitting away on my Varia Mitts, and I have excitingly just finished the colour work chart for the first mitt, the left hand mitt. So I'm going to get to the end of my row. The pattern calls for me knitting just a couple of plain rows before I hit the ribbon at the top of the mitt. So let me just zoom to the end of the row. Isn't that cute? I really like that. What I've got now left to do now is just a few rows of ribbing at the top, and I think it's only 4 or 5. It's got very sort of short cuff at the bottom, and that's mirrored at the top. And then I've got to go back in and pick up the stitches that I put on some waste yarn for the thumb, and I think do the same, knit a couple of plain rows and then a few rows of ribbing. And then the first mitt will be done. Oh, sorry, the sun's peeking out and it's glaring a little bit in this one area. Let's just pop this on. I know it's not finished yet, but it's fitting really quite nicely. I'll give you an idea. I have to say I've got about 4 or 5 rows, so the mitts should come up to around about my knuckles once they are finished. One time later, and mission accomplished. Woohoo! I have my first mitt. And I really am loving this design. It's just so lovely to knit, and they fit really nicely. I did end up adding a couple of extra rows of ribbing to the top here. So the pattern, I think, recommended 5, which is what I did down the bottom on the cuff. But I wanted this to reach up just a teeny tiny little bit further. So I ended up doing 7 rows of ribbing at the top. And I also did 7 rows on the thumb as well. So my thumb is covered more than halfway really. But yeah, I just feel that perhaps that works for the length of my hand a little bit better than the 5 rows would have. And I've been good. I've woven in all my ends. Zoe, if you're watching this, are you proud of me? So that is the left mitt done. And I also did cast on for the second, but I've literally just done the cast on. And I'm going to put that project away for today. And hopefully I'm going to pick up and knit the rib and maybe even the bottom chart tomorrow. So I'm hoping that now I have seen what this first mitt looks like will give me the inspiration and spur me on to get the second one done sooner rather than later, and then I can get these blocked and start wearing them. So it's been a little while since I recorded anything for this vlog, which just seems to be the case every time I switch on the camera and start to record new sections for each of the 12 cast on things. I always seem to start by saying, hey, it's been a while. Obviously for you it won't, because I will be joining these, editing them all together, so it's one cohesive, hopefully, video. But yes, it's now December, and it's December the 7th to be precise. I am currently making lots of Vlogmas videos, and as part of my December making, I don't have an official sort of plan as such, other than I'd like to try and pick up and finish a few projects that are near-ish completion, and so far I've managed to finish a couple of things, which is great. And the next thing I'd like to pick up from my list is Varia Mitts, because when we left it last I had literally just cast on for the second mitt, and I was very hopeful that I was going to speed through the knit, and then life happened. Mostly I think it was I got COVID and everything kind of went on hold for a few weeks, and then a few weeks more, because once you get behind it's hard to catch up. So yes, I'm hoping to, over the next few days, maybe the next week or so, I'm not sure how long it will take, but I'm hoping to get mitt number 2 knit up. So I have got the day off today. It's a Wednesday. I went out for a lovely walk this morning, which if you've been watching Vlogmas you might have seen my, I think it's Vlogmas part 3, where I spend a morning by the lakeside. And I did actually put this project in my bag with the hopes that I might knit a few rows. It was very noisy. The lovely rangers, wardens, I'm not sure, who look after the country park, were busy felling a tree right near where I was sitting, so I didn't end up sitting and knitting and recording, because it just would have been a lot of chainsaw noise in the background. Instead I've come home and I'm going to spend my afternoon listening to my audiobook, and I'm going to start knitting the right mitt. I think have I done that? I've done the left mitt, so I'm going to start working through the right mitt. So we're in the middle of December now, and it's been a few days since I picked this up and knit those first few rows, and I really enjoyed doing that. So I need to crack on. I've got an afternoon off this afternoon, and I'm just going to work through for the next hour or so maybe and see how much I can get done. I've got some spinning that I'd like to do today as well, otherwise I would entirely concentrate on this, but it's nice to switch between things. So I think I'm going to pop a festive movie on the telly to keep me company, and we will see how far I get. It's been a couple of days since I checked in for this vlog, and I had a really lovely afternoon working on my second Varia mitt, and as you can see I made quite some progress. I was partway into this colour chart I think the last time I checked in, so I finished the bottom colour work chart and started on the main colour work chart, and the owl is just starting to emerge here. You can see his tail feathers down there. And I would really love to have this finished by the end of the weekend. I'm not sure if that's going to be possible, but I hope it might be. I'm at home this afternoon, I'm working tomorrow, and then I've got a day off on Sunday. So my plan of attack for this particular project now is to figure out how many rows I've got left in total on the colour work chart, divide that by 2, and then I'm going to sit and knit this afternoon until I reach that halfway point. And then when I've got my next day off on Sunday, my aim will be to knit the other half of the chart. So yeah, we'll see what happens, whether I manage to do that or not. I think it's possible, I think. keep your fingers crossed for me, wish me luck. Sunday evening, apologies for the low light, but it is almost 9:30 and my plans to finish my Varia Mitts today got a little bit scuppered because I was expecting a cosy day at home, but instead I got asked to do an extra shift at work. It's really busy in the run-up to Christmas, as I'm sure anyone who works in retail or who has worked in retail at Christmas can well understand. And unfortunately, a few people at work have got sick the last few days. So yeah, I got asked to do an extra shift, which means I've been out of the house all day. But I've now had my dinner, I've had a bath, and I am hoping to make a little bit of progress. In fact, I've started making a little bit of progress on the top part of my mitt. My aim is to keep on going until I'm sort of too tired, and if that means that I finish the mitt, great, or finish the colour work chart, great. There's about 15 rows left, but I would, if I can, like to at least get to the point where I'm putting the stitches for the thumb onto waste yarn. So that's my goal, and if I get further than that, then that will be a bonus. Goodness, apologies for this really weird angle, but I am sat at my desk and I'm struggling for space to just quickly pop the camera up. So it's really, really early on Monday morning and I've got a day off of my out of the house job. But of course, I am awake at the crack of dawn. It's 6:30 in the morning. Why does that always happen when I've got a chance to sleep in? I just can't. So I'm actually going to try and download the footage that I've taken for Vlogmas. I'm in the middle of recording Vlogmas at the moment. Over the last few days, I've recorded a bunch of footage and I've kind of got a bit lost with where I am, just because the last couple of days with working an extra day has been a bit of a blur, and I don't think I've got too much footage, but I want to just figure out where I am and see what I need to do to try and make some sort of cohesive vlog from that footage. So while I'm doing that, I thought I would work on my mitt, and I'm really, really happy to say that last night before I went to bed I finished the colour work chart. So owl number 2 has been born and I've just got the rounds of ribbing to do at the top, and then obviously I need to pick up the thumb and knit those rounds of ribbing as well. So 1 by 1 rib round and round is something I can definitely do while I'm editing, put this down whenever I need to and not lose where I am. So yeah, hoping to get this finished this morning. I've made a really hilarious mistake on the back of the glove, but I'll chat about that once we've got some daylight and hopefully the glove is finished. Finished my Varia mitts. They're all done. I've cast off. I do need to block these, so I will do a bit of waffling about them now, but then I will come back and put in a finished shot of them after they have finished blocking. And I did mention in the last clip that I've made quite a fun mistake on the palm of the hand on this second mitt that I've just been working on, and I have no idea how I've managed this because it's a very regular pattern repeat on the palm of the hand, and I think as I hold it up you can see straight away I have managed to mess up the patterning right here in the middle of the palm. And how I did not notice, because that's a good few inches of knitting, and how I didn't notice until I just was about to cast off, I have no idea. And how I managed to make this particular mistake, I've no idea either, because it's a mistake over the course of 2 or 3 rows, but it's just in that one section. I don't think I could mess up like that again if I tried, and there's fluff stuck to the edge. And I briefly thought, oh god, how am I going to fix this? Shall I drop down and then re-pick up the stitches in the right order? Shall I duplicate stitch? Shall I rip back and just knit it again, because it's quite a fun knit? But ultimately, I have decided I'm just going to leave it as it is. I don't care. And it will be a fun reminder every time I wear these of how silly I can be sometimes. Like, how did I manage that? Everything else around it is fine. So it's not like I've messed up the entire row. It's just that one little section. Anyway, this is what they look like on before they have been blocked. And by the magic of YouTube, let's cut to an after they've been blocked shot. There we go, the magic of YouTube prevails. My Varia mitts have been blocked and they are now ready to wear. In all honesty, I'm not 100% sure that blocking made a massive amount of difference to these. They're made from superwash yarn, so they don't bloom in the same way as a non-superwash yarn would. However, I am quite pleased that they haven't really stretched out either, and maybe that's because a lot of the superwashes that I've used in the past have been merino, and this one is a Blueface Leicester, so maybe it's just the characteristic of the fibre that it perhaps doesn't stretch quite as much as the merino does. But I am so pleased with these. They were just an absolute joy to knit, and they've made for a fabulous finished object, I think. I think my favourite thing about this project has been working with this gorgeous brown yarn, which was one of the colours in my little kit that I purchased from YarnNYarns all those years ago, because it was quite a few years. And I just love the sort of depth of colour in the brown, and I think it really makes for an extra bit of interest in the colour work. So the owl and the sort of tree aren't entirely sort of like a solid brown. There's some flecks of blue, there's a few flecks of pink. I guess that's where the dye broke when it hit the water or the yarn, but it's made for a much more sort of alive feeling owl, I think, rather than just being one flat colour. There's some sort of shadows and some light patches, and yeah, I just think this was such a great yarn for this pattern. I'll show you one more time a close-up of the mitts so you can see what I mean about the colours. So yeah, I think that has added to giving these owls a real sort of character of their own, which I just love. And I think I'm going to get so much wear out of these. The only thing I'm worried about is obviously with the contrast colour being quite pale, whether they're going to get grubby reasonably quickly, but I guess we'll see. I definitely want to wear them. I don't want to fall into that trap of thinking something is too precious to wear or use. Because, you know, I've knit them to be worn, so whatever will be, and I'm sure that the owl side will stay fairly pristine, even if the palm side doesn't. I've reached the end of another 12 cast on vlog where we followed this project from cast on back in the original cast on video, which I shall link somewhere, through to casting off and me being able to wear these mitts. So I hope you have enjoyed following along the journey with me. As I'm recording this, I'm literally 2 days away from casting on the new set of 12, so that's really exciting for me. I've got quite a lot of sorting and organisation to do, and not much time to do it because I'm working for the next 2 days. So as per usual, the 12 cast ons might be a little bit chaotic, but I'm sure we'll get through together. So yes, if you are watching this video right through to the end, I hope you will join me for the next video, which should hopefully be in a few days' time. But until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye. Look at that. Bye.